All right. Remember, I don't know what's wrong with our lefties. They used to enjoy 60 Minutes. Every Sunday they would watch that. Oh, I'd watch Wallace come in with the camera crew and confront people. Oh, it was a big knee slapper for them. Now the shoe's on the other foot. They don't like to see the camera crew sneaking around from Project Veritas. Oh, no, no, they're upset about it. So they've welcomed him several times to New Hampshire with potential legal action. I don't know who the brain trust is down there at the AG's office, but stupid move. You've given him more earned media. You've angered people who, in this room and conservatives all over the state by pulling these stunts. I am hoping that Gordon MacDonald wasn't involved in it, and it was just the idiots at the election division of the Attorney General's office. But I think every time they come up here and try and step on our toes, they're the ones who get the feedback, you know, the bad feedback. So I want to ask James to come up. Where is he? There he is. And I don't have a subpoena, but I have this for you.
Another one bites the dust. All right, let's go. So thank you, Ed. Thank you, and thank you very much, Ed, also for what you did in 2016, which I'm going to talk about. And thank you very much, Diane Bitter, for hosting me here tonight. And I'm going to show some videos, and it's been quite a week in New Hampshire. I was issued a subpoena by someone in the Attorney General's office, and I will tell you that story. It's outrageous. It's one of the most preposterous things I've ever seen in my career, and that's saying a lot, because I've been through quite a lot over the last 8 years. So I'm going to tell you the story and show some videos and do some questions. So I will start in 2016. Ed actually tipped me off to this. There was a man voting in New Hampshire who was from Colorado and was not a resident of New Hampshire. Indeed, registered to vote at the campaign headquarters on Siley Road in Manchester. So I decided to go in, I'm just going to do a flashback here real quick, to the polling locations on primary day in 2016 to ask a question. Could you vote here if you don't live here? Could you just show up on election day and ask the question? And if we could play the sound here. No sound. An issue?
Yeah, well, there's a way to get around.
Just a little while, like a few days. I asked the guy, what if you've just been here a couple of days, and let's see what the polling official says.
It's supposed to be, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's at least 20 days.
Is it 20 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
The question about how long you have to stay.
How long I have to stay here afterwards? Yeah.
You can stay here until the day after the election.
So he says, you could just stay here until the day after you vote and then leave and your vote will count. Okay, that's one answer, right? That's what, individual number one has to say. So we go into other polling locations, also on the same day, primary day. This is, I believe, March of 2016, 3 years ago. This is important for reasons I will get into. These videos are very important because they're related to what occurred this week. And not me, but other people go into the polls here in New Hampshire and ask the same question and get a different response.
Okay, how long do I have had to be in New Hampshire to vote today?
Oh, probably 48 hours.
How long do I have to stay in New Hampshire to vote today?
There's no requirement. You want to vote today, you might tell them that you're with your friend and you're here indefinitely, which sounds like it's true.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
And if
yeah,
say
not
you're-
100% true, but I
right,
understand,
but
yeah.
you're here indefinitely.
So she just told him to lie about how long they have lived here and how long they have to be here. So after this video comes out, I get a letter. This is in 2016. This is dated February. And some of you may have already seen these stories. Some of you may have not. As I was walking into the building here, some people mentioned they didn't know anything, so I'm going to represent this. I got a letter from the Attorney General's office. This is from 2016. And the letter, and it's hard to read, so I will read you the passage in question. It says, we want you to cooperate with us to turn over the footage voluntarily. Now, just to give you an idea of how significant this is for a journalist to get a subpoena, I think this happened with the Concord Monitor in 2016, and it was squashed. No self-respecting journalist that I know of would ever give reporter notebooks, names of sources, names of undercover people. That just doesn't happen. If you do that, you don't have any self-respect. But this Attorney General asked me that failure to preserve may consequentially result in criminal prosecution if I don't give my reporter notebooks to the Attorney General of New Hampshire. So in response to the letter, you know, some people like to cower down and get scared and, you know, and curl into a fetal position. At Project Veritas, what did we do after the letter from the Attorney General? We released another video. That's right. So that's where Ed Nail comes in, because Ed and I sort of worked together on this. Have you received a subpoena, Ed, yet? Any subpoenas? No, you can't find one? Well, not yet. But in any event, this is Hugo Palma. This is the regional field director of the Bernie Sanders campaign, and this is filmed in 2016. And the reason why this is so amazing is that this man admits to a crime on video. He says, I voted where I work. I vote at the Bernie Sanders campaign headquarters.
Did you have to vote in Colorado then?
No, I voted here.
Oh, you did? How?
So to vote in New Hampshire, all you have to do is prove domicile. That's about it.
Oh, so you registered in Manchester?
Yeah.
How did you do that, though? What address did you use?
This one.
Yeah.
He used the campaign headquarters in Manchester as the address by which he voted, which, my understanding, it's a misdemeanor in New Hampshire. You can't do that. It is, in fact, a crime, correct? So he admits to committing a crime on the videotape. This is incontrovertible. It is irrefutable. There's no question as to the facts. And unlike suspicion of voter fraud or question, this is not questions about, this guy admits to a crime on camera. What does the Attorney General of New Hampshire do? He sends me another letter. He sends me a second letter saying you must cooperate with the. Why do I have to cooperate? Why doesn't this guy have to cooperate? I mean, this world is so upside down, isn't it? It's so upside down. It's an injustice. So anyways, they send me letters asking me to cooperate. I'm not sure they sent any letters at all to Hugo Palma. There was nothing about him cooperating. So the exposure of the fraud is more of a problem than the fraud itself. In the live free or die state? I mean, maybe that's true in the Garden State and the Empire State, but the live free or die state? The exposure of the corruption is more of a problem than the corruption. The 60 Minutes style journalism is a bigger problem than the people admit. But this, I'm just getting started. What happens next? So next what happens is Ed Nail finds the actual, what is this, a voter registration form that shows that he voted on what is 345 Siley Road in Manchester. Silly Road. And Hugo Palma even was dumb enough to post a picture of himself on Twitter doing the deed. So there's so many, I mean, this is like, you know, this is undeniable. There's no question as to the facts. We confront Hugo Palma.
Go, stop, get out. Okay, Luke, ready? Go. Ready?
James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, how you doing? Did you vote in New Hampshire here?
So all questions related to the national drug communication.
Okay, what do you think about law enforcement getting involved in this? Sir? Sir? No comment? Can you say voter fraud caught on camera? So they ran away from me and everything like that. So the New York Attorney General sends me a second letter. I'm sorry, the New Hampshire Attorney General said, and this letter says, as with the first, he says, failure to preserve may result in criminal prosecution of me. Of me. As with the first video, quote, we are requesting that you cooperate with our investigation by voluntarily turning in all of your materials. I'm not sure what there is to turn in. I've posted the materials to YouTube. The man has confessed it. Ed Nail has obtained a voter registration document. Where does my lack of cooperation come into play here? Again, any self-respecting investigative reporter would never, ever give reporter notebooks and names of undercover people or sources to your Attorney General. Never. They would never do that.
Croc TV.